People accused of wrongdoing should not be held accountable while in quarantine, as their immune system might not be able to handle the stress, resulting in them dying. This was a shocking call made by Eastern Cape Cooperative Governance and a Traditional Affairs MEC, Xolile Nqatha, during a virtual memorial service of the late Buffalo City Metro Speaker Alfred Mtsi in East London on Wednesday. Mtsi, 69, died from COVID-19 complications at Life Beacon Bay Hospital on Sunday morning. Now, for analysis on this, I'm joined by political analyst Dr. Somadoda Fikeni. Dr. Fikeni, thank you so much for your time. Now, many are stunned by the MEC's utterances. What do you make of what he had to say?
It's a very unfortunate choice of words, especially in a country that has been facing the pandemic of corruption, and also the perception that ANC sometimes tend to prioritize its own comradely spirit, its internal unity, than the public good. So his words were rather unfortunate, even if the context was given elsewhere. But as for the clip that is circulating now, I think it is a public relations disaster, actually.
Now, Dr. Fikeni, the MEC actually used the word un-ANC. Now, is this indicative of a lack of accountability within the party, particularly after a couple of weeks ago, the ANC Secretary General Ace Magashula's utterances on corruption?
Well, it is a problem that ANC has to look into, because the perception is growing that ANC might be elevating itself above the public interest. And that in itself is doing at the expense of the public itself on the issues of corruption, accountability, and so forth. He might have been able to express his condolences and solidarity, of course, with a fallen comrade or colleague. But at the same time, a very clear message on the fighting of corruption and accountability is very important at all material times, especially at the time when the country is sinking in terms of corruption at many levels.
Now, further to this being an ANC to interrogate people while they are fighting the coronavirus, he also mentioned that it is not comradely. Now, the ANC hasn't responded to what he has said. What is it likely to say? And are we surprised that the ANC is silent about this matter?
I do think that it is quite awkward, ANC, because if you single Mr. Nqatha alone, when many other leaders have said the same, to say you don't understand the ANC comradeship and solidarity, even at the time when some of the leaders were caught with their hands in the cookie jar or were facing allegations of corruption. So this ambiguity in tackling the issue of corruption is the one that has made some to believe that ANC might be synonymous with corruption, which is a very unfortunate thing, even when some within the ANC may be trying to fight against corruption. So leaders, when they take on a public platform, ought to be clear, ought not, to vacillate on this particular subject, even if they are expressing any condolences or support for their own colleagues.
Now, you speak about ambiguity in corruption. Could we stretch it further a little bit and say maybe there's also perhaps ambiguity in the unity within the ANC?
Well, it's an open secret that ANC back in 2004 onwards has been a divided organization fraught with factions. Every president, every secretary general, nationally in the provinces, do write in their presentations about the same. So I take that as a given. And that in itself has created a problem of tackling the issues of corruption decisively, precisely because you tackle this one, then there's a notion of moral relativity of saying, but you didn't touch so-and-so. or you are doing this as a witch hunt because I belong to this or that faction. Until ANC is able to overcome those challenges, it will find it very difficult to fight corruption, which has become a pandemic that has weaved itself into societal fabric.
Now, before I let you go, Dr. Fikeni, and using your words of pandemic in corruption, that is, what should the ANC do? We're in the middle of a pandemic, which is COVID-19. South Africans are fatigued by the corruption that is currently happening in this country, and the ANC remains silent. In fact, we have its Secretary General talking about the fact that people need to first be tried before we can expel them from the party. What is the right thing for the ANC to do right now, given that South Africans are in need of leadership?
The first thing ANC should do is to understand that ethical leadership does not have to wait for many years of legal trials. Knowing what is right and wrong and condemning it on principle. Whilst you know our justice system, if you are rich, you could actually keep justice at bay precisely because of the cost of lawyers and the ability to keep justice at bay. So there is a confusion here where people think issues of morality and corruption should be judged technically instead of ethically. That is where the problem is, because every other leader knows that these things take 5-10 years. And therefore they say, I'm not yet found guilty. Even when facts are out there, and even when ethically they could actually save the organization by stepping aside. That is where the main problem is. And secondly, ANC itself should be able to take even some of the prominent people where they are found guilty and make an example out of them. Then the country will take them seriously. But if they still have the notion that you have to defend some of the comrades, then the country may lose whilst the ANC is still doing the navel gazing.